I knew something was terribly wrong the moment my daughter said, "Mom, Uncle Liam told us your biggest secret." The grocery bag slipped from my hands and hit the kitchen floor, apples rolling across the tiles. My daughter stood frozen by the doorway, her backpack still on, her eyes red like she'd been holding back tears for hours. My son clung to her shirt, staring at me the way kids stare at something scary they don't understand. My heart hammered against my ribs. "What secret?" I asked, even though fear had already wrapped itself around my throat. She hesitated, her lips trembling. He said you're the reason the family fell apart. He said everyone knows it. He said you're the failure." My stomach twisted. The lights above flickered. A soft rumble of thunder rolled outside, rattling the window pane. I could hear my own pulse, loud, uneven, sharp. My brother. Liam. I should have expected it from him, but hearing it from the mouths of my children, my babies, felt like a knife twisting slowly inside me. I forced myself to breathe, but the next words from my son nearly knocked the air out of me. He said you're too weak to keep anything that belongs to him. And that was the moment I realized something. Liam had crossed a line he could never return from. My name is Ava Cole. I'm 35 years old, and for most of my life, I've tried to be the kind of woman who holds everything together even when every piece inside me is cracked. I work as a pediatric nurse at St. Clair's Hospital, a job that demands more heart than strength, more patience than pride, and more compassion than I sometimes think I have left. But I love it, every chaotic second of it. There's something about holding a frightened child's hand or calming a nervous parent that reminds me why I chose this path. Kids don't lie. Kids don't pretend. Kids don't twist your vulnerabilities into weapons. Adults do that. Families do that. Or at least, mine does. Most people who meet me describe me as soft. Soft voice. Soft heart. Soft decisions. Even my smile, they say, is soft. Like I'm trying too hard to make the world gentle even when it refuses to be. And maybe they're right. Maybe softness was the only armor I ever learned to use. But softness also hides a lot. Like the emotional wound I've carried with me since childhood, this hollow, aching belief that no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, I'm never enough. Not for my parents. Not for my brother. Not for the family I was born into. I spent years pretending that wound wasn't real. Years convincing myself that I'd outgrown it. But the truth is, wounds don't disappear just because you grow older. They stay, tucked behind your ribs, waiting for moments like today. Moments when your daughter repeats a sentence that reopens everything you thought you'd healed. My lifelong dream was simple. Pathetic. Maybe. Ordinary to most people. But to me, it was everything. I wanted a family that didn't feel like a battlefield. A home that didn't echo with criticism. A life where I didn't have to walk on eggshells, waiting for someone to twist my words, mock my choices, or make me question my own worth. Peace. That was the dream. Not wealth. Not perfection. Just peace. For a long time, I believed it was possible. I married a good man. I built a quiet, modest life. I had 2 kids who looked at me like I was their entire world. But when you're raised in chaos, peace feels like something you have to constantly defend. Protect. Fight for. And sometimes, the enemy isn't a stranger. It's your own brother. Liam has always been the storm in my life, the unpredictable, destructive force that sweeps in smiling, then leaves everything broken. He's 3 years younger than me, but somehow he's always acted like I owed him something. Like existing before him was a personal insult he never forgave. I used to think we'd grow out of it. That the rivalry would fade with age. That adulthood would soften him or mature him or at least give him enough dignity to stop competing with me over everything. I was wrong. If anything, adulthood sharpened him. And today, hearing my kids repeat his words, seeing the hurt in their eyes, feeling the tremble in their shoulders when I pulled them close, something inside me shifted. Not broken. Not bruised. Shifted. Because for the first time, I realized something with absolute clarity. Liam wasn't just trying to hurt me anymore. He was trying to define me, rewrite me, erase me. And I don't know what triggered him this time, what he thinks he deserves from me, or what he believes I've taken from him. But one thing is certain. He forgot who he's dealing with now. I'm not the girl who swallowed her pain quietly. Not anymore. Grew up in a house where love was measured, weighed, and handed out like rations. my brother always getting the overflowing basket, and me receiving whatever crumbs accidentally fell off. It's strange how a home can have four walls, warm food, and the hum of a running fan, yet feel colder than a December night. My earliest memories are not of laughter or birthday candles. They are of comparisons, of sighs, of my mother's disappointed eyes scanning me like I was the wrong answer to a question she never stopped asking. Liam, my younger brother, was the golden child from the moment he opened his eyes. People still joke that he didn't cry when he was born. He smirked, like even then he knew the world would bend for him. My parents adored him in a way that made me feel like I had been rented, not born. I was the scapegoat, the child blamed for things I didn't do, for feelings they didn't understand, for mistakes that weren't even mine. I remember one particular evening, I must have been 8. The sky outside was turning orange and purple, and I was sitting on the floor trying to finish my homework. My pencil was tiny, chewed and overused. Liam walked in holding a brand new superhero pencil set, still smelling like shiny plastic. "Look what Mama got me," he bragged, waving it above my head. I didn't say anything. I just kept writing. But he wasn't finished. He snatched my notebook away and scribbled all over my neat handwriting. I gasped. "Why did you do that?" Before I could take it back, he started crying, loud, dramatic, fake sobs echoing across the room. "Mama. She took my pencil. She's mean. She pushed me." I went numb. I hadn't touched him. I hadn't even looked at him. But my mother rushed in like she had been waiting for a reason. Her voice was sharp and cold. "What is wrong with you? Why can't you let your brother be happy for 1 second?" "I didn't do anything," I whispered. But no one heard me. She pulled my ear so hard I felt my skin burn. My notebook was tossed aside, pages bent, my homework ruined. Liam stood behind her, smiling, victorious. That was the first time I learned silence could scream, but no one would listen. Another memory burns even deeper. I was 11, standing near the dining table as my parents prepared for a small family gathering. My mother handed Liam a crisp white shirt and kissed his forehead. "You're such a handsome boy," she cooed. Then she turned to me. "Don't stand here. Go to your room. You look messy." I looked down at my dress, clean, ironed, neat. But in her eyes, I was always messy. Always not enough. I looked down at my dress, clean, ironed, neat. But in her eyes, I was always messy. Always not enough. I learned to celebrate milestones that no one in my family would notice. Passing my first NCLEX exam. Saving enough for a vacation alone. Receiving a heartfelt thank you from a parent whose child I had comforted. These weren't just milestones, they were affirmations. I can succeed. I can be loved for my own merits. I am enough. Even in relationships outside my family, I noticed patterns of hesitancy. Old wounds made me cautious with trust. But slowly, as I formed friendships and professional connections, I discovered that loyalty, empathy, and intelligence were admired here, not dismissed. People would stand beside me, defend me, believe in me. By my late 20s, I had established not just independence, but confidence. I could pay my own rent, drive my own car, plan vacations, and manage responsibilities I had never dared dream of handling as a child. I could laugh loudly, speak firmly, and still be soft. I could finally define my worth on my own terms. But no matter how far I had come, every time Liam's name surfaced, every time a memory of childhood cruelty flickered in my mind, there was a dull ache, a reminder that my strength was forged in fire. And somewhere deep down, I knew that the world he had controlled so effortlessly as a child would one day see the consequences of his actions. Because I had grown. I had learned. I had survived. And I was ready. Even as I was building my life, Liam was unraveling his. It started slowly, almost imperceptibly, like cracks spreading across a wall you pretend is solid. I remember the first time I noticed it, though I didn't call it by name then. He had started skipping college classes, claiming he was too smart to waste time on lectures. He stayed out late, coming home smelling of alcohol and smoke, and I would find empty snack wrappers, receipts for online purchases I couldn't even identify, and messages on his phone that made my stomach knot. One evening, I walked into the kitchen to grab water, and there he was, sprawled across the counter with a laptop open. A dating app was on full screen, dozens of messages from people he barely knew. "You're up late," I said cautiously. He looked at me, grinning with that cocky, entitled smirk I had hated for years. "Chill. Ava, don't act like you're perfect. I froze. That word, perfect, felt heavy, even though I had never claimed it. From that night on, the tension in our family dynamic became noticeable even outside the walls of our home. Liam began spreeing. I remember turning away, tears blurring the fairy lights decorating our living room. As I walked to my room, I heard Liam whisper behind me, "She's so embarrassing." They laughed. All three of them. My mother, my father, my brother. That sound, their laughter at my expense, branded itself into my bones. Another night, maybe the worst one. I was 14. Liam had broken our father's phone after playing games on it. The screen was cracked like a spiderweb. He panicked and threw it onto my bed. "Say you did it," he hissed. "Or I swear I'll make you regret it." When my father found the phone in my room, he didn't ask a single question. His hand came down on the desk beside me so hard the lamp shook. "Why can't you be responsible?" he shouted. "Why do you always ruin everything?" I wanted to scream the truth. I wanted to point at Liam hiding behind him. But Liam stood there with his innocent, wide-eyed expression, playing the victim with the skill of a trained actor. And I stayed silent, not because I was guilty, but because I had learned something important. In my home, truth didn't matter. Only Liam's version of it did. Even as a child, he knew how to twist stories, how to manipulate tears, how to weaponize my parents' bias. And every time he succeeded, I disappeared a little more. The world outside thought we were a happy family. Inside, I was being erased. I grew up in the shadows of my brother's privileges, watching him get new shoes while I wore hand-me-downs, watching him celebrated for breathing while I was criticized for existing. Every insult, every punishment, every unfair accusation shaped me in ways I didn't understand then, but I would later. Looking back now, I realize something chilling. Liam wasn't born cruel. He learned he could get away with it. He learned I was the easiest target. And my parents trained him. Every ignored lie, every unfair praise, every blind belief in his innocence gave him power. Power he would one day use in a way I never imagined. Power that would eventually break me, and then make me rise. The day I packed my bags to leave home for the first time, I felt both terrified and electrified. I was 18, trembling in the hallway, holding a suitcase that felt heavier than my own body. My mother barely looked at me. She was busy fussing over Liam's new jacket. "Don't forget to call," she said mechanically. No warmth. No smile. "I will," I whispered, forcing myself to sound confident. My father didn't even glance up. Liam, of course, smirked. "Finally leaving. Good luck surviving out there," he said, and for a moment I imagined slamming the door in his face. But I didn't. I walked out instead. I didn't go far, just across the state for college, but it felt like leaving a war zone. And in many ways, it was. College was harder than I imagined. I had spent my life being told I was not enough, so sitting in lecture halls filled with confident, sharp students made my insecurities raw. I reminded myself every morning in the mirror, "You are enough. You have to be." I studied nursing because it was the one field where I knew I could matter, where my empathy wasn't a liability but a strength. My professors noticed my dedication early. They praised my ability to stay calm under pressure, my persistence in solving problems, my willingness to help struggling classmates. For the first time, I felt my efforts didn't vanish into thin air. I remember pulling an all-nighter during my first semester. The dorm was silent except for the occasional hum of a heater. I sat at my desk, red eyes from exhaustion, typing a research paper while my roommate snored. My fingers ached, my back screamed, but I kept going. When I finally hit submit at 3:42 a.m., I felt an unfamiliar surge of pride. I had done it. I had proven to myself I could endure. I could achieve. I could survive. College wasn't just about studying, it was the first time I had freedom. The first time I could choose who I wanted to be around. I made friends who saw me, not the scared, small girl Liam and my parents had shaped me to be. Friends who celebrated my victories, no matter how small. One friend, Jenna, once said while we were sitting in the library surrounded by textbooks, "Ava, you always make it look so easy, even when it's not." I wanted to laugh. It was far from easy. But she saw me trying, really trying, and for the first time, that recognition mattered. Graduation came with a mix of triumph and anxiety. Walking across the stage, diploma in hand, I remembered Liam's smirk and my mother's indifferent glance. I had achieved something they couldn't dismiss. Something that belonged solely to me. I had built my wings out of all those years of neglect, cruelty, and doubt. My first job was at St. Clair's Hospital. I was terrified, every patient's life in my hands, every parent's hope resting on my competence. But somehow, the chaos energized me. The first time I calmed a child who was screaming in terror before a blood test, I felt a spark of something I had never felt in my home: real agency, real impact. I could make a difference. I could save someone's day. I could matter. With every shift, I grew stronger. Coworkers noticed my reliability, my quiet determination. One of the senior nurses, Mrs. Harper, told me on my third week, "Ava, you're going to go far in this field. You care too much, and that's rare. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for it." I had to fight to keep the tears from falling. Rare. For the first time, someone saw value in me without expecting me to shrink for their comfort. I rented my first apartment shortly after turning 21. Small, modest, a single bedroom with a kitchenette and a view of the city skyline. Every corner was mine. No one mocked me, no one criticized me. It smelled faintly of paint and furniture polish, but it smelled like freedom. The first night, I sat by the window, sipping tea, listening to the city hum below, and allowed myself to think, I survived. I can live. I can thrive. Financial independence came slowly, one paycheck at a time. I budgeted ruthlessly, saved every dollar I could, and began to build a life that was insulated from the toxic patterns of my family. It was hard. Exhausting. But every time I paid a bill on my own, booked a doctor's appointment for myself without needing anyone's permission, or bought groceries without judgment, I felt tiny victories that were monumental. Some nights were still haunted by the echoes of Liam's laughter, my mother's dismissive tones, my father's absent gaze. But I learned to anchor myself to moments that reminded me I had power, my own power. I started journaling, not just my day-to-day, but my feelings, my victories, my fears. Writing them down made them real. Made them mine. Ding little rumors about me, strategically choosing times when our parents were listening. He whispered about how I was selfish or pretentious at work, always trying to show off with my accomplishments. And the worst part? My parents believed him. Always. At first, it was small, text messages sent to my mother, subtly criticizing me. Ava thinks she's better than everyone. Look at her Instagram posts, always bragging, one read. She would sigh, shaking her head. You should be more like your brother. My hands would clench around my phone, my heart pounding. I learned quickly to ignore it, to build a wall so thick that his words didn't penetrate. But even walls have cracks. Liam's jealousy was obvious in every interaction. He would mimic my achievements in the most irritating ways, trying to twist them into failures. I remember when I bought my first car, a modest sedan, but reliable, paid for entirely by me. He immediately announced he was buying a much better car, though it was a week later he had to borrow money from friends. He thrived on small humiliations, and he would create opportunities for them with surgical precision. One weekend, our extended family group chat blew up with screenshots Liam had edited. He sent messages that I had supposedly sent, criticizing a cousin's wedding planning, twisting innocent texts into attacks. The family, without asking me for my side, began to murmur, questioning my tone and my attitude. I remember staring at my phone, fingers shaking, tears burning, as Liam sent voice notes filled with fake sobs. I just don't understand why she's like this. She's always mean to me, he said to my mother. The same mother who had never once questioned him. And my father. Well, he nodded, grunted, or sighed. Rarely did he ever look at me. It was always Liam's version that mattered. Every lie, every manipulation, was reinforced by the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. It wasn't just the messages or the texts, it was the way he inserted himself into my life, trying to undermine me at work, in front of friends, even in casual encounters. He would accidentally drop by my apartment, knock on my door with that smug grin, and complain about trivial problems, waiting for my patience to crack. He knew I was polite, trained to accommodate, and he exploited that endlessly. One particularly crushing evening, I hosted a small gathering with coworkers to celebrate a promotion I had received. Everything was going smoothly until Liam called my father and somehow twisted the story. She just flaunted her promotion in front of everyone, he said. By the time my father arrived, the atmosphere had changed. He muttered something about always showing off while Liam smirked in the background, arms crossed, triumphant. My co-workers sensed the tension, whispers drifting across the living room. I felt my cheeks burn with shame, though I had done nothing wrong. Liam thrived on this pattern, small, calculated manipulations to create conflict, embarrassment, and doubt. He wanted to make me falter, to make my successes look hollow. I began noticing the pattern in every family gathering, every chat message, every shared story. Even when I tried to confront him, his manipulation was clever. He would tilt his head, act confused, and say, "I never said that. Are you imagining things?" And suddenly, I doubted myself. It was infuriating. I was trained to live with unfairness, but his skill in twisting perception made even me question reality. It wasn't just jealousy. It was a sense of entitlement. He believed he was owed respect, admiration, and inheritance before I had earned anything. Every birthday, every gift, every small success in my life was met with his sarcasm or silent judgment, often both simultaneously. But the more I observed, the more I realized something crucial. Liam was reckless. His irresponsibility was catching up with him. Credit card bills went unpaid, college tuition was ignored, friendships were strained because of his lies, and even minor jobs slipped through his fingers. And yet, he had perfected the art of deflecting blame. It was a slow, insidious downfall, but the tension in our family was mounting. Every lie he spread, every favor he demanded, every subtle humiliation became a thread in the web he wove around me. And while I was growing, independent, and learning the value of my own strength, he was spiraling. Every family event became a silent battlefield. Words were arrows, glances were daggers, and Liam's skill in orchestrating humiliation was terrifyingly precise. I remember sitting quietly in the corner at Thanksgiving, watching him narrate false stories about me to distant relatives, watching my parents nod along, unseeing. It wasn't immediate, but the sense of injustice built in me like a slow-burning fire. I could feel it in my chest every time someone repeated his lies. And with each lie he told, each small manipulation, each victory in the eyes of my parents, I realized I needed a plan. A way to rise above. I had survived childhood trauma, clawed my way through independence, and learned to define my worth. Now, I understood that Liam's games were only dangerous if I let them be. And I had reached a point where letting them slide was no longer an option. The tension had grown so thick in the house, so palpable, that every conversation felt like a minefield. Every family group chat ping, every Instagram story, every casual visit from Liam was a test. I was no longer the scared child. I was watching, calculating, learning. And the more I watched, the more I realized, Liam's downfall was not just his irresponsibility. It was his hubris. And hubris is a trait that eventually meets its match. The slow rise of my anger, mixed with the lessons I had learned in college, work, and life, began to crystallize into something dangerous, something strategic. I wouldn't just survive the chaos he created. I would outmaneuver it. Every lie he told, every humiliation he orchestrated, every jealous act, everything was building toward a confrontation that I knew, deep in my bones, would come. And when it did, he would finally understand what I had always known, that the quiet, underestimated child in the corner could be the most dangerous of all. It was a crisp autumn morning when the message came through, a single WhatsApp notification that made my blood run cold. I was scrolling through my phone, sipping black coffee in my small apartment, when the words leapt off the screen. "The lake house is mine. Signed, Liam." At first, I froze. My hand shook, my mug clattering against the counter. The lake house, the place my parents had promised me as my inheritance, the place where I had learned to ride my first bike, the place where I had spent every summer swimming, laughing, and feeling almost normal in a family that had never understood me, was suddenly under threat. I called my mother immediately. "Mom, did you see this?" I demanded, my voice sharp with disbelief. Her response was chillingly calm. "Oh, that? Liam just said it. Isn't it better he takes it? You have your life now." I felt the room spin. My own mother, my protector in theory, brushing off my rightful claim as if it were nothing. "You can't just give it to him. I helped maintain that house. I grew up there." I shouted, every word vibrating with shock and rage. "Don't be dramatic, Ava," she said, voice flat. "You have your career, your apartment. The lake house, it's better he takes it." I hung up before I could cry, my vision blurry. Liam's laughter echoed in my mind, smug, victorious, already imagining the lake house as his playground. I wanted to scream, to run over there and reclaim it physically, but the voice in my head whispered, "Stop. Think. Plan." That night, I couldn't sleep. My apartment, usually my sanctuary, felt suffocating. I tossed and turned, images of Liam sprawled in the lake house, calling my children spoiled little brats and telling them I was a family failure, replayed in my mind. My chest ached. I couldn't believe this betrayal, not just from Liam, but from my parents, who had once seemed capable of love. By morning, I had made a decision. I couldn't fight this emotionally alone. I needed facts, records, and proof of my claim. I needed the law. I started with paperwork, deeds, emails between my father and me about summer plans, old receipts proving I had contributed financially to renovations, photographs showing me painting walls and repairing fences. I found screenshots of text messages where Liam's intentions were discussed privately with my mother, messages where he admitted he had no right to the house, but was manipulating them anyway. I contacted a lawyer, a woman named Meredith, who specialized in family disputes. Her office smelled faintly of leather and coffee, and her voice was crisp, professional, unyielding. "Ava," she said after reviewing my documents, "he's trying to strong-arm you. Emotionally. Financially. But you have proof. We can build a case." Her words should have been comforting, but all I felt was rage, a fire so hot I could barely contain it. I thought of Liam telling my children I was a failure, of my parents' calm complicity, of every small humiliation I had endured for 29 years. I am done being silent. That night, I scrolled through old family photos, the ones stored on my cloud account. Pictures of Liam laughing while I held the camera, pictures of me repairing his bike when he refused to lift a finger, pictures of my parents praising him while I washed dishes quietly. Every smile, every memory, felt like ammunition. Then came the emails from the past year, receipts from contractors I had hired, invoices I had paid from my personal account, proof that I had maintained the house at my own expense. Each document felt like a brick in the wall I was building around my revenge. But even as I prepared legally, Liam's manipulations escalated. He began sending screenshots to our family WhatsApp group, editing conversations to make it look like I was trying to claim money illegally. My father chimed in, mildly scolding me in front of distant relatives, all while Liam added his dramatic commentary. By the second week, the messages became more vicious. Liam sent a voice note to my children, who were still young enough to be impressionable. "Mom doesn't care about us or the family," he said in a tone dripping with false hurt. "She's the failure everyone warned you about." I felt my heart break, not for myself, but for them. My kids. The ones who deserved a safe, loving home, now being poisoned by Liam's lies. I couldn't cry. Not yet. I needed clarity. I began reviewing every interaction, every conversation, every message. I recorded every voice note, saved every screenshot, and even started reviewing security footage from the lake house to show how I had been actively maintaining the property. I realized that Liam's arrogance was his weakness. He thought no one could prove anything, and in that overconfidence, he had left a trail of evidence. I called Meredith again. "We're going to win this," she said. "But you need to stay strong. Emotionally. Don't let them see that they've hurt you. This is a chess game." The words rang in my ears as I sat late into the night, typing, organizing, plotting. I realized I had spent my whole life being underestimated by Liam, by my parents, by the world. But now I had power, the power of truth, the power of preparation, and the power of strategy. My breaking point had been reached not through physical exhaustion, but through betrayal. The betrayal of family, the betrayal of childhood dreams, the betrayal of my children's innocence. And I was done. The lake house dispute was no longer just about property. It was about reclaiming every ounce of respect, dignity, and truth that Liam had tried to steal from me for decades. For the first time in my life, I felt a clarity that bordered on exhilaration. This wasn't just about winning. This was about showing Liam, and my parents, what it truly meant to underestimate me. That night, I made a silent vow, speaking to the shadows of my apartment. "You think I'm weak. You think I'll crumble. You've underestimated me my entire life. Watch me rise." And with that, the war began. It started with a notification, a TikTok clip that popped up on my feed, tagged with my full name. My stomach dropped as I tapped it open. The video was short, no more than 30 seconds, but it cut through me like a knife. Liam's smug grin filled the screen as he narrated over footage I hadn't even known he'd recorded. "Look at Ava, trying to act all perfect. She doesn't care about anyone, just herself. She thinks she's better than the family. I froze, staring at my own face in the corner of the clip, smiling politely at a friend. He had edited the video, zooming in on moments that made me look condescending or dismissive. Background music, some mocking, playful tone, made it feel like a joke. Except the joke was on me. Within hours, the TikTok had been shared across Instagram stories, Snapchat, and even Facebook groups. Comments poured in, "Wow, your sister seems so fake, I can't believe she acts like that, family drama." My notifications exploded, the sound of incoming pings relentless. I tried to reason with my parents. "Mom, Dad, this isn't fair. Liam is twisting everything." My mother sighed, scrolling through her phone. "Ava, just ignore it. You know how he is." "Ignore it?" I yelled, tears blurring my vision. "They're calling me names in front of my kids. People are judging me based on lies." Even my closest friends texted screenshots of edited WhatsApp conversations Liam had circulated, showing me supposedly criticizing family members, saying things I had never typed. My heart pounded in my chest with a mix of fury and disbelief. Liam had created a perfect storm. He had taken screenshots, cut audio clips, and stitched together snippets of my conversations to make it seem like I was the villain. On Instagram stories, he posted fake evidence of me saying I didn't care about our parents or the house. On WhatsApp, he sent voice notes to distant relatives, pretending to be confused and hurt, claiming I had attacked him first. My children didn't understand at first. They came home from school, faces pale. "Mom, why is everyone saying you're a failure?" my youngest asked, tears welling in her eyes. Liam had even whispered to them, "Mom doesn't care about anyone. She only cares about herself." The betrayal cut deeper than anything Liam had ever done before. I spent the night scrolling, documenting everything, my hands trembling. Every edited screenshot, every voice note, every TikTok clip, every Instagram story, I saved them all. Each one was proof, but in the moment, it only made me feel smaller. The world, even temporarily, had turned against me. Then came the messages from strangers. "Your family drama is wild, you're terrible, Ava, why do you act like the victim?" Comments like bullets shot into my heart. Liam had succeeded in making me doubt myself, in turning the public eye against me. I tried confronting him. "Liam, stop this. My kids saw your video." He leaned against the kitchen counter, smirking, arms crossed. "Oh, come on, Ava. People just see what I show them. Don't act surprised. You know the rules of social media." Every word, every smirk, fueled my anger. He was enjoying this, the chaos, the humiliation, the power. But as I sat there, exhausted and seething, a strange clarity emerged. Every clip, every screenshot, every edited narrative he had created was also a trail. A trail of evidence he had left because he underestimated me. He thought I would crumble under public scrutiny, but he didn't realize I had the patience to wait, to gather, to prepare. I began taking notes, organizing the clips by platform, timestamp, and content. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, all of it meticulously catalogued. Each screenshot, each post, each voice note became a piece of a puzzle I was slowly assembling. I realized something else. Liam's biggest mistake was arrogance. He had made me public enemy number one, and in doing so, he had revealed the full extent of his manipulation. Every lie, every distortion, every attempt to humiliate me was now evidence. The night deepened, rain tapping against my window like a ticking clock. I imagined him laughing at my supposed humiliation, imagining himself victorious. But in my mind, I was already planning my response. Every post he had shared, every edited screenshot, every fake narrative, I would turn it into proof against him. I whispered to myself, a promise into the dark. "You think the world is against me now? Wait. The truth is coming. And when it does, the world will see who really has been lying all along." Even as I felt small, even as the notifications continued to explode, I knew the tide was about to turn. Liam had played his hand, and I had seen every card. By the end of that week, the virtual storm had reached its peak. My parents were sighing in frustration at the constant notifications, Liam was basking in what he thought was victory, and my children were confused and hurt. But behind closed doors, I was building strength. Every edited clip, every fake post, every WhatsApp lie, Each one was a step closer to exposing him fully. For the first time, I felt the calm before the storm. And I knew, deep in my bones, that the revenge I was planning would not just reclaim the truth, it would obliterate the lies Liam had built online. I didn't sleep the night the last TikTok about me went viral. Instead, I sat at my dining table with a single lamp glowing warm against the darkness, bathing everything in a soft amber light. The entire house was silent, except for my heartbeat, steady but heavy, like a drum counting down to something inevitable. I opened my laptop and unlocked a private folder I had never thought I would use again, my just-in-case folder. Inside were old screenshots, saved chats, bank transaction copies, and a few audio notes I had kept from years ago. At the time, I had saved them out of self-protection, a habit I'd learned from being raised in a home where your own truth could be twisted against you. I never imagined they would become the foundation of something much bigger. I started gathering everything Liam had posted in the last 3 weeks. Every TikTok clip he made about me, every Instagram story, every WhatsApp voice note he sent to relatives pretending to be the victim. I downloaded everything, organized by date, platform, and context. A folder for TikTok. A folder for Instagram. A folder for WhatsApp. A folder named Lies. A folder named Proof. My fingers trembled, but my mind was crystal sharp. Then I remembered something. My home had 4K CCTV installed a year ago after a burglary scare. The cameras captured everything. The day Liam came over pretending to help with groceries but instead slipped into my study. The day he whispered to my children that I was the family failure. The day he confronted me in my own kitchen, smirking as he told me I deserved the humiliation. All of it had been recorded. I pulled up the CCTV app and scrubbed through hours of footage. There he was, standing in the living room with his arms folded, leaning close to my youngest and whispering poison into her ear. My daughter's face crumpled, the confusion in her eyes unmistakable. Watching that made something inside me shatter, but instead of breaking down, I found a new kind of strength, one forged from pure clarity. I saved the clips, naming each one. *CCTV proof 1.mp4. *CCTV proof 2.mp4. *CCTV proof 3.mp4. *confession audio note.wav. *bank transfer statements.pdf. *WhatsApp chat evidence.pdf. *social media lies folder.zip. Every clip was a nail in the coffin he didn't know he had built. I moved on to WhatsApp. My chats with him were full of patterns, manipulation, guilt-tripping, fake apologies, and subtle threats. I highlighted messages where he admitted to sending things as a joke, where he implied he would show the world who you really are, where he bragged about everyone believing him. Then I found the voice note, his mistake. A 3-minute voice note he had sent at 2 a.m. to a cousin, thinking I would never see it. The cousin forwarded it to my aunt, and my aunt had forwarded it to me last month, venting about how Liam has no filter anymore. In the audio, his voice dripped with arrogance. "You know Ava. She's so easy to manipulate. I just drop one story online and boom, everyone believes me. It's almost funny. She doesn't get it. People see what I want them to see." My hands clenched into fists. That was the confession. That was the moment he buried himself. I isolated the voice, cleaned the audio with an online tool, and saved it under voice_note_confession.wav. Next, I opened my bank portal. My heart raced as I searched old transactions. 4 years ago, I had loaned Liam the down payment for his apartment, money he had sworn on our mother's life he would return. He never did. Instead, he told the family I had begged him for help during my broke phase, and he had saved me financially. Now I had the bank statements, the transfers from my account to his, the timestamps, the proof of his lies. I printed everything and placed them in a neat pile. At 3 a.m., the house felt colder. Rain tapped against the windows. The world outside was asleep, but inside my mind, everything was awake, alive, burning with purpose. I messaged a lawyer I knew from work, someone who had once offered help if I ever needed it. Urgent, I typed. I need legal advice about defamation, harassment, and financial fraud. I didn't expect a reply until morning, but he responded instantly. "Let's meet tomorrow. Bring everything." I exhaled, feeling a kind of relief I hadn't felt in months. The next day, I arrived at his office with a canvas bag filled with printed screenshots, USB drives, and my laptop. He sat across from me, adjusting his glasses as he listened carefully to everything. The more he saw, the more his eyebrows lifted. "You have enough evidence to destroy him entirely," he said quietly. "Not just legally, socially, financially, family-wise." My breath caught in my chest. He wasn't exaggerating. "This," he said, tapping on the stack of paper, "is a documented pattern of character assassination, manipulation, digital harassment, defamation, and potential financial fraud." Hearing someone else say it out loud made the room spin for a moment. Then he said the words that solidified everything. "You can get a restraining order. You can sue him for emotional damage. You can expose the fake edits. You can shut down his entire narrative." I sat back, tears burning behind my eyes. Not because I felt broken, but because, for the first time, I felt powerful. We made a plan. Step by step. Organized. Strategic. 1. Compile evidence into a chronological timeline. 2. Prepare a legal notice outlining all charges. 3. Create a file of CCTV footage and audio confessions. 4. Contact a digital forensic expert to verify edits in Liam's social media posts. 5. Gather statements from neighbors and teachers who had seen Liam whispering to my children. 6. Photograph the emotional impact on my kids, something my lawyer said would matter in family court. 7. Save backup copies in an encrypted drive. 8. Prepare a final confrontation where I would reveal everything, publicly or in front of the family. The more we planned, the more calm I became. The next days were a blur of quiet preparation. I recorded every phone call Liam made to check on me. I documented every online post he uploaded. I kept every message family members sent, sarcastic or cruel. Everything was fuel for the plan. My children sensed a change in me. "Mom, are you okay?" my eldest asked one evening. I knelt down, cupping their cheeks gently. "I'm stronger than ever," I whispered with a small smile. "And soon you'll understand why." There was a fire in me now. A steady burn that made my hands still and my mind clear. Every insult he posted became evidence. Every lie he spread became ammunition. And the best part? He didn't know. He thought I was hiding, crumbling, ashamed. He had no idea I was building a case sharp enough to cut through every bit of his deceit. Late at night, when he uploaded another edited clip about me, I didn't cry. I just saved it. And whispered to myself, "Keep going, Liam. Every lie you post. I'll use it to end this entirely." The plan was ready. And the storm I was about to unleash would be unlike anything he had ever expected. The day finally came. My palms were clammy, heart hammering, but my resolve was iron. I had asked my parents to gather everyone in the living room under the pretense of a family meeting. Liam arrived late, his usual smug grin plastered across his face, clearly expecting to continue his little performance. "Mom, Dad, I don't know why you called me," he said, leaning lazily against the doorway. I didn't answer. I just set the laptop on the coffee table, its screen facing him. On it were all the folders, neatly labeled, CCTV Proof 1, CCTV Proof 2, Confession Audio Note, WhatsApp chat evidence, bank transfer statements, social media lies folder. My father frowned. "Ava, what is all this?" I inhaled deeply, every breath steady, controlled. "It's everything, Dad. Everything Liam has done to me, to manipulate everyone, to lie about me to my children, to spread false stories online, to steal money, and to ruin my reputation." Liam's eyes flickered toward the laptop, and for the first time, I saw a trace of uncertainty in them. "What are you saying?" he scoffed, but his voice had lost its usual confidence. I pressed play. The first CCTV clip opened, Liam whispering to my youngest daughter, trying to convince her I was a failure. Her little face twisted with confusion and hurt. I felt my throat tighten but kept speaking, calm and deliberate. "Watch closely, everyone. Watch him lie directly to my kids' faces." My mother gasped. My father's face went pale. Liam opened his mouth, but no words came out. Then I played the confession audio. Liam's own voice, dripping with arrogance, confessing how he manipulated everyone and lied about me, filled the room. He stammered, I didn't think." "You didn't think?" I said, my voice low and sharp. "You didn't think your lies would be caught. You didn't think the world would see the truth." Liam tried to reach for his phone, maybe to delete something, maybe to justify himself, but I raised a hand. Do not touch anything. This is evidence. Evidence you left everywhere because you underestimated me. My father finally found his voice. Liam, is this true? He hesitated. Sweat beaded on his forehead. I mean, Ava exaggerated. I cut him off. Exaggerated? Do you see these screenshots? These WhatsApp messages? These bank statements proving you never returned money you promised? Do you see how you've humiliated me, twisted my words, and spread lies to the public? Liam's face went red, his usual arrogance replaced by panic. He turned to my mother. Mom, she's making it worse than it is. My mother's hands shook as she scrolled through the social media posts on her phone. Liam, you did this. Yes. But she provoked me, he yelled. I stepped forward, my chest tight with controlled fury. Provoked you? Provoked you to lie, humiliate, and poison my children's minds? Provoked you to manipulate the entire family? No, Liam. You did this. Every word, every action, your choice alone. My children had been standing behind me, clinging to my legs. Now they peeked up, wide-eyed, watching Liam fumble for words. I turned to them gently. See, kids? Mommy tells the truth, even when it's hard. He lied to you. And now, you see why we always stand for honesty. Liam's face twisted with desperation. He lunged toward the laptop, trying to grab it. I slapped my hand down on the edge. Stop. There was a long silence. Heavy breathing. Liam's chest rose and fell rapidly. His jaw tightened. My parents were frozen, staring from me to him. I trusted you, Liam, I said softly, almost heartbreakingly. I always gave you the benefit of the doubt. I protected you, I defended you. And this is how you repay me. Liam couldn't meet my eyes. He muttered, I didn't mean. No. You meant every word, I said. And now, everyone sees the truth. The lies are gone. The manipulation is exposed. And the person who hurt the most, the one you thought was weak, is standing right here, stronger than ever. Tears welled up in my eyes, but they weren't tears of fear or sadness. They were tears of release, of vindication. I pressed a few more keys on the laptop, showing the chronological timeline, the proof of edits, the voice notes, the bank statements. Each piece landed like a hammer strike, one by one, exposing him completely. Liam sank into the couch, his head in his hands. Mom. Dad, she's telling the truth, he whispered, voice broken. My father sat heavily in his chair, the weight of shock etched across his face. My mother's hands covered her mouth. We didn't realize, You didn't realize because he manipulated you, I said. All these years. But you see it now. And I hope you understand why I never accepted being the scapegoat. My children stepped forward, holding my hands. Mom, we're proud of you, my eldest said softly. My youngest nodded, eyes still wide. The room was quiet. Except for Liam's heavy breathing, the sound of rain tapping against the windows, and the slow realization settling in the air. He had no defense left. No lies that could survive the light of truth. And in that silence, I felt a weight lift from my chest. The confrontation wasn't just about exposing him. It was about reclaiming my life, my family, my dignity, and showing my children the power of truth. I looked at Liam one last time, voice calm but icy. This is what happens when you underestimate the person you try to destroy. You lose everything, credibility, respect, trust, and the one you thought you could break, stands unbroken. The room seemed to hold its breath. My parents' shock was absolute. Liam's panic palpable. My children's eyes sparkled with newfound understanding. And in that moment, I knew. The storm I had built was complete. The days after the confrontation were almost surreal. Liam's world crumbled faster than even I had imagined, and I watched it all unfold with a strange mix of sorrow and satisfaction. Not a cruel satisfaction, but a long-awaited justice that had been brewing for years. It started online. The moment I uploaded the compiled evidence, carefully edited CCTV clips, voice confessions, WhatsApp messages, and social media proof, everything went public. I had made sure every file name was safe, neat, professional. CCTV proof 1 MP4, confession audio note WAV, WhatsApp chat evidence.pdf, bank transfer statements.pdf. I didn't add commentary, didn't need to. The truth spoke for itself. Within hours, the TikTok clips that Liam had posted, showing his fake narrative of me as the family failure, were inundated with comments exposing him. Screenshots of his lies circulated across Instagram stories, Facebook posts, and WhatsApp groups. Even his so-called friends began messaging me, unsure what to believe. By the afternoon, every single online platform he had used to smear me turned against him. The hashtags were merciless. #Liam exposed, #truth wins, #family manipulation. The real devastation came when his workplace got wind of it. Liam's company prided itself on integrity and reputation, and one of my lawyer contacts had discreetly forwarded a report. By evening, HR had called him in. I watched him pack his desk, hands shaking, face pale, trying to spin excuses that no one would hear. "You can't fire me," he said, voice cracking. I didn't. "They have all the proof," I whispered to myself, standing quietly in the back as he left. No job, no defense, just the weight of his actions pressing down. At home, the isolation was even more striking. Friends who had blindly believed his stories began dropping off the radar. Messages he sent went unanswered. Calls unanswered. His once loyal online fanbase turned against him overnight. The same people he had manipulated, laughed with, and claimed as his supporters now called him out publicly, sharing my evidence with captions like, "Don't trust anyone who lies to children." Even my parents finally understood the depth of his manipulation. My mother, tears streaming, approached me one evening. We didn't see it, Ava. We didn't understand how cruel he had been," she whispered, voice broken. I knelt, took her hands, and spoke gently. "Mom, it wasn't just me. He poisoned everything. But now, you know the truth. And it's time to rebuild what he tried to destroy." My father nodded silently, eyes red from holding back anger and guilt. "We were blind," he admitted. "And he used that against everyone." Liam, meanwhile, retreated from the world like a shadow. Every place he went, someone whispered, someone showed a screenshot, someone reminded him of the truth. His social life evaporated. Invitations disappeared. His social media accounts were flooded with evidence of his lies, while he desperately tried to salvage a reputation that no longer existed. The legal actions were the final blow. My lawyer filed claims for defamation, harassment, and partial financial restitution. Liam was subpoenaed. Court dates were set. Every lie he had ever told in public and private was now documented, verified, and irrefutable. The judge's stern glare when he realized the extent of Liam's manipulations felt like the final judgment I had been waiting for. "Your actions have caused emotional trauma and defamation," the judge said, voice firm. "We will ensure appropriate restitution and penalties." I felt a quiet satisfaction as Liam's face crumpled. He could no longer manipulate anyone. No parents, no friends, no public. Every lie, every act of cruelty, had been turned back on him with precision. My children noticed the change in our home immediately. No more whispered lies, no more manipulation, no more fear. I was finally free, not just legally, but emotionally. We spent evenings laughing, playing, and sharing honest stories. Their trust in me was restored, stronger than ever. Even family gatherings transformed. My parents, now fully aware, apologized for their bias. They worked to repair relationships that Liam had poisoned. I watched as our small family began healing, rebuilding the trust that had been shattered. And Liam? He became a cautionary tale. A man whose manipulations, arrogance, and cruelty had been laid bare. His friends abandoned him, his career stalled, and his family no longer shielded him. Everywhere he turned, he saw the truth staring back. Public, undeniable, permanent. I stood on my porch one evening, the cool breeze on my face, the sunset painting the sky orange and gold. My children played in the yard, laughter echoing like music I hadn't heard in years. I took a deep breath and felt it, the complete, unshakable sense of victory. Not revenge for the sake of malice, but for justice, clarity, and protection of what mattered most. My family and my dignity. I whispered to the wind, almost to myself. Some truths can't be silenced, some liars can't hide, and some hearts are just too strong to ever be broken. And in that moment, the weight of years of lies, manipulation, and betrayal finally lifted. I had won. Completely, irreversibly, and with the power of truth as my sword. The house was quiet that evening. The chaos of confrontation, The storm of social media exposure, the legal battles, they were all behind me now. The air felt lighter, almost tangible, as if each breath I drew carried away a piece of the years of hurt, betrayal, and fear. I walked into my children's room, where they were drawing and laughing together. Their innocence, untainted by lies, filled me with a warmth I hadn't felt in years. I knelt beside them, watching their small hands move over the pages, colors spilling freely, stories unfolding without constraint. "You know, Mommy," my eldest said, looking up with those wide, trusting eyes, "I always knew you were the strongest." My heart tightened. I swallowed back tears and forced a smile, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. "Sometimes, strength is quiet, darling. Sometimes, it's about standing tall even when everyone doubts you." I thought about everything, my childhood, the favoritism, Liam's manipulations, the way my parents had ignored my pain. I thought about the nights I cried alone, the whispers behind closed doors, the endless self-doubt. And now, I realized how far I had come. I had rebuilt my life brick by brick. My apartment, cozy and warm, held the first memories of true independence. My career, earned through hard work and resilience, had flourished. Friends who genuinely cared surrounded me. And most importantly, my children knew the truth, not just about Liam, but about strength, courage, and honesty. Healing wasn't a single moment. It was small victories, laughing without guilt, sharing a joke without fear of judgment, sleeping through the night without tension clawing at my chest. It was in seeing my reflection and finally recognizing myself, not as the scapegoat or the family failure, but as Ava, a mother, a fighter, a survivor. I spent hours journaling that night, pen scratching across paper as I poured out my emotions. Each word was a release, each sentence a declaration of the life I chose to live now. I wrote about forgiveness, not for Liam, not for my parents' earlier neglect, but for me, so I could let go of the lingering bitterness that had weighed me down for decades. The city lights twinkled outside my window, distant but steady, like silent witnesses to my journey. I sipped my tea slowly, savoring the warmth, letting it seep into my bones. The wind whispered softly through the open window, carrying away remnants of anger, fear, and grief. I finally felt the luxury of peace. Real, unshakable, and earned. I thought about the path ahead, and for the first time in years, it didn't feel daunting. It felt like a horizon of endless possibility. Tomorrow, I would take my children to the park, enjoy a sunny afternoon, and maybe even start the small business I had dreamed about for years. Nothing could erase the scars entirely, but scars were proof of survival. And I had survived. More than survived, I had thrived. I leaned back in my chair, closing my eyes, letting the quiet embrace me. In that silence, I understood the deepest lesson of all. No one can define your worth but you, no lie can overshadow truth forever, and strength is forged in the fires of adversity, tempered by patience, resilience, and love. I whispered to myself, a line that felt like both an ending and a beginning. The storms may bend you, the lies may shake you, but a heart anchored in truth will always rise to the light. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled. Truly smiled. The world had fallen away. The weight had lifted. And I, Ava, mother, survivor, and guardian of truth, was finally free.